There's a kind of pain a woman feels when she starts noticing that a man is torn between two worlds. One where he fears losing you, and another where he has already given his loyalty somewhere else. It's a heavy, confusing tension because on the surface, he still reaches out. He still checks if you're upset, still wants to know if you're okay. But underneath, something in him has shifted. His heart has made a choice he hasn't admitted, sometimes not even to himself. And so you find yourself caught in the emotional crossfire. The man who doesn't want to let you go, and the man who has already drifted towards someone else. Women often mistake this conflict for love. They interpret his fear of losing you as commitment, when really it's attachment mixed with guilt, habit, and the desire to avoid consequences. What you're facing is not devotion, it's fear of accountability. And unless you learn to see clearly, you risk taking his contradiction as a reflection of your own worth. But it's not about you, it's about his indecision. A man who is scared to lose you, but has already chosen someone else communicates in ways that feel emotionally confusing because his words and actions are no longer aligned. He becomes a man of contradictions. On one hand, he tells you that you matter, that he doesn't want to lose you, that your connection is important. He might say he needs you, that he's overwhelmed, that you're the one person he doesn't want to push away. These words are powerful. They touch the heart. They pull you back into believing that maybe he just needs time, maybe he's struggling, maybe the connection is still real. But words are the easiest thing to give when a man is trying to hold two worlds together. What matters is the direction of his actions. When a man's heart is still with you, his behavior naturally moves toward you. When his heart has shifted to someone else, his behavior quietly drifts. Slowly at first, subtly, almost without you noticing. He becomes less present in your daily life, less responsive, less emotionally involved. You start feeling like you're carrying more of the relationship than he is. This is where the confusion starts. His words pull you forward, but his actions pull away. And because his words feel intimate, you begin to doubt yourself. You wonder if you're overthinking, if you're too sensitive, if you're misunderstanding him, but you're not. Your intuition is picking up what his actions already know. A man who truly fears losing you is consistent. He doesn't risk your trust. He doesn't gamble with your sense of safety. He doesn't let distance grow. He fights for the connection because he values it. He works to keep you close, not just in words, but in real action. He shows up, he follows through. His effort matches his statements. But a man who has already chosen someone else becomes divided. He doesn't want to let go of you, but he also doesn't want to stop moving toward her. So he tries to maintain both. Life doesn't work that way. His actions quietly reveal where his heart really is. You'll notice his attention shifting. His focus becomes inconsistent. His availability changes. He stops making plans, but keeps you just involved enough to keep you from stepping away completely. When you ask him what's going on, he becomes vague. He might say he's dealing with things, he's confused, or he needs space. None of these answers give you clarity. They keep you in emotional suspension while he explores the other connection. There's also a subtle guilt in his behavior. He becomes careful with his words, almost overly gentle. He tries to reassure you without actually committing. He gives warmth when he senses you might slip away. But this warmth is reactive, not intentional. It's there only because he fears losing you, not because he's truly investing. You have to look beyond the small moments of tenderness and see the pattern. When his actions drift while his words cling, his loyalty has already moved. The confusion you feel is real. It's the silent truth of a man trying to keep you while choosing someone else. One of the first signs is a tightening of his privacy. At first, it might be small. A slight hesitation when you walk by while he's on his phone, a quick lock of the screen, a subtle shift in how he positions himself while texting. These aren't accidents. They're instinctive reactions to guilt and divided loyalty. A man who has nothing to hide moves through life openly. A man who is hiding another woman moves carefully. You will feel that caution before you fully understand it. He might say it's just privacy or space. But this isn't natural privacy. It's concealment. Privacy strengthens a relationship because it's based on respect. Concealment weakens it because it's based on contradiction. What he's hiding isn't just another woman. It's the version of himself he doesn't want you to see. The man exploring a connection elsewhere is ashamed of the gap between what he says he is and what he actually does. And shame always needs secrecy. You'll notice his explanations get vague. Where was he? Out. Who with? Just people. What's on the phone? Suddenly, irritation. That irritation isn't because you crossed a line. It's because your questions edge too close to the truth. A man with integrity answers simply, clearly, without defensiveness. A man hiding something reacts because the truth threatens the fragile story he's built. His schedule changes too. New obligations, new plans, new responsibilities. The problem isn't life's demands, it's inconsistency. He's available when he wants comfort, unavailable when you want clarity. His time becomes unpredictable because his attention is split, and a divided heart always shows itself through inconsistent behavior. Even his phone habits change. Face down on tables. Notifications gone. Passwords updated. He holds his phone in ways that block your view, even if you weren't looking in the first place. These aren't random behaviors. They are the habits of a man protecting an emotional connection he doesn't want exposed. He's afraid of losing you, yet he shields the other connection more fiercely than he protects your trust. And then there are the lies. Not always big lies, often tiny ones. He'll lie about things that barely matter. Not because the details themselves are important, but because he's avoiding something. He lies about where he was, so you don't ask who he was with. He lies about what he was doing, so you don't question why he was unavailable. The lie itself isn't the problem. The fear behind the lie is. His fear shows he knows his actions would hurt you, and that fear exposes the betrayal more clearly than any confession ever could. Secrecy becomes his way of surviving. He doesn't want to lose you because losing you would mean facing the consequences of his choices. Losing you means losing the version of himself he wants to believe in. He wants to see himself as a good man, a loyal partner, someone who wouldn't betray, but instead he hides. Not because he doesn't care, because he cares about the wrong things, protecting his image, protecting his comfort, protecting access to you, while giving another woman the openness he once gave you. A man who truly loves you will be open. A man who has chosen someone else will shut himself down, not because he wants privacy, but because he's afraid of the truth. And that change in secrecy is one of the clearest signs that his loyalty has already shifted. He refuses to admit it. When a man has already chosen another woman, but doesn't want to lose you, he won't give you full love, commitment, or presence. He gives just enough to keep you emotionally tied to him. This is the psychology of breadcrumbs. It's subtle, often unconscious, and confusing because the small moments of affection feel real, intimate, familiar. You start to hope again. But you need to understand this. Breadcrumbs aren't about building a relationship. They're about preventing one from fully ending. They're a way to keep you close without offering the effort, devotion, or clarity you deserve. He may pull away for days, distant and uninvested, then suddenly show warmth, not consistent warmth, just brief, momentary warmth. A soft "I miss you," a thoughtful compliment, a sudden interest in your day, or a late night message that sounds vulnerable. These small gestures hit hard because they remind you of the man he once was, the version you fell for. That's the trap. You start believing the old version is still there under the inconsistency. But the truth is, he's feeding you emotional crumbs to keep you from leaving completely. He does this because he knows you feel things deeply. He knows you notice the distance. Instead of being honest, he soothes the discomfort with temporary intimacy. The breadcrumbs come exactly when you start questioning the relationship, when you pull back, get quiet, or change your energy. He senses the gap and rushes to close it with just enough affection to keep you emotionally engaged. But these gestures are reactive, not intentional. They don't come from real commitment. They lack follow-through. He says something sweet in the moment, then disappears emotionally right after. He says he's going through a phase, but the phase never ends. He says he cares, but doesn't show it consistently. A man who gives breadcrumbs has already moved his emotional investment elsewhere. He can't give consistency because consistency requires devotion, and that devotion is reserved for someone else. He keeps your heart attached because your presence gives him comfort, security, validation. You're his emotional safety net, the place he retreats to when life feels uncertain. But the other woman is his excitement, the possibility, the new path he's pursuing. He splits himself, not fairly, but strategically. You get crumbs, she gets presents. Breadcrumbing becomes a cycle. It keeps you emotionally hungry, waiting for the next tender moment. Women caught in this pattern start blaming themselves. They think, maybe if I give more, he'll come closer again. But that's exactly why it's dangerous. Breadcrumbs make you work harder for someone who isn't working for you. They make you invest in someone who has already shifted his focus. They make you excuse behavior you normally wouldn't tolerate. What makes it worse is that the affection doesn't feel fake. Often it isn't. He does care, but caring and choosing aren't the same. He cares enough to fear losing you, but not enough to stop dividing his attention. He cares enough to offer brief warmth, but not enough to build something real. Breadcrumbs keep access to your heart without giving you your rightful place. A man giving the bare minimum isn't confused. He's managing two emotional worlds, keeping you invested while giving someone else the attention you deserve. That's the truth about breadcrumbs. Once you see it, the illusion breaks. When a man has already chosen another woman, but fears losing you, one of the most confusing things you'll see is sudden emotional reactivity when you pull back. It seems contradictory. He's been distant or detached for weeks or months, yet the moment even slightly, he becomes alert, anxious, present. At first, it's subtle. Maybe you take longer to respond and suddenly he replies immediately. Maybe you stop initiating conversations and he becomes curious, asking if you're okay. Maybe your tone shifts and he wants to know why. These reactions reveal a truth you won't speak aloud. He may not want a future with you, but he doesn't want to lose the emotional role you play. His reactions grow when he senses your withdrawal. He may become irritated, confrontational, suspicious, accuse you of changing or not caring. What's important to understand is he isn't reacting to lost love. He's reacting to lost emotional security. You were the person he ran to for validation, reassurance, comfort. You were the emotional home he depended on while exploring another connection. Losing you means losing the stability he's been taking for granted. His anxiety isn't devotion, it's fear of accountability. As long as you stay emotionally available, he can convince himself that he's still a good man, that he's not hurting anyone, that he's just confused or figuring things out. But when you start pulling away, that story falls apart. He has to face the reality that he's been giving you only part of himself while investing the rest of his emotional energy elsewhere. And that truth makes him uncomfortable in ways he can't ignore. In those moments, you'll notice he becomes more expressive, more emotional, even more vulnerable. He might suddenly say things he hasn't admitted in a long time. He may tell you he cares, that he misses you, or that he doesn't want to lose you. Those words feel powerful, But they don't come from clarity or love, they come from fear. He's scared of losing your presence, your support, your belief in him. He's afraid of losing the version of you that grounds him. His emotional reactions come in waves. When you pull back, he comes closer. But as soon as he feels you're back, emotionally available again, he slips right back into old patterns. The distance returns. The inconsistency returns. His effort fades. This cycle isn't random. It shows exactly where his heart is and where it isn't. You are not the person he is choosing to build with. You are the one he leans on so he doesn't have to face the emptiness inside himself. What makes it confusing is how intense his reaction can feel. He may act as if your distance is a betrayal, even though he's the one who created the emotional gap in the first place. This is psychological projection. It's his way of shifting responsibility onto you so he doesn't have to face the truth about his divided loyalty. The more you detach, the more he fights, but not for the relationship. He fights for the emotional benefits you give. A man who truly loves you will fight to restore stability, clarity, and trust. A man who has chosen someone else will only fight when your absence threatens his comfort. His reactions aren't commitment, they're fear. Fear of losing access to your emotions. Fear of being exposed. Fear of facing the truth about himself. When he reacts strongly to your distance, but doesn't change afterward, you're not seeing love, you're seeing panic. He wants to keep both worlds without taking responsibility for either. One of the most painful signs is the emotional disconnect that slowly settles between you like fog. It rarely happens suddenly. It creeps in almost unnoticed, inch by inch. Conversations that were natural feel forced. Moments that were warm feel empty. His presence feels muted, like he's in the room, but not really there with you. The worst part is you sense him leaving emotionally before he ever leaves physically. A man who is checked out emotionally can sit right next to you and feel miles away. He hears you, but he doesn't listen. He responds, but he doesn't connect. He shows up, but he doesn't engage. It's the kind of absence that makes you feel like you're in a relationship with a memory, not a person. You start talking more, hoping he'll reconnect, hoping he'll notice the distance. But the more you reach, the more he retreats, not because he doesn't care, but because his energy is already invested elsewhere. You see it in his tone, his silence, his lack of excitement. Things that once lit him up now barely register. Conversations he used to start now fall on you. Even conflict disappears, not because peace has returned, but because he doesn't care enough to engage. Indifference replaces irritation, and that indifference speaks louder than any argument ever could. A man who still loves you will fight, question, argue, and communicate because he is invested. A man who is detaching emotionally stops reacting. Silence becomes his language. His absence creates confusion inside you. You start asking yourself, am I doing something wrong? Am I not enough? Did I change? But that self-doubt isn't about you. It's a reaction to emotional inconsistency. You didn't change. He did. And instead of facing his own change, he lets you question yourself. The emotional distance is even more clear in moments requiring intimacy. Not just physical, but emotional closeness. He avoids deep conversations, vulnerability, and anything requiring him to show up fully. He keeps things surface level because his deeper emotions are invested somewhere else. He may still be polite, friendly, even nice, but niceness isn't intimacy. Politeness isn't presence. Softness isn't devotion. These are the behaviors of someone trying to keep peace, not build a deep bond. In his absence, you feel lonely even when he's physically there. That loneliness isn't imaginary. It's your intuition noticing the lack of connection. Women sense emotional distance faster than men realize. You don't need proof. Your heart knows before your mind accepts it. And yet, he doesn't leave. He stays just enough to keep you close. Losing you would mean losing comfort, stability, the identity he built with you. You are familiar, grounding, the version of himself he still wants access to. The other woman may be exciting, new, engaging, but you are the grounding he fears losing, even though he's already disconnected from your intimacy. A man emotionally gone, but physically present creates an illusion of closeness. You feel like you're holding the relationship with both hands, while he holds it with only 2 fingers. And those fingers, they're not love. They're fear. Fear of letting go. Fear of starting over. Fear of facing himself. When a man disconnects emotionally but stays physically, he is showing you the deepest truth. His heart has moved, but his fear keeps him standing beside you. Recognizing that truth is the first step to reclaiming your own clarity, your own emotional freedom.